Here is why people want to come back to work. I need to be able to design that and be able to tell that story, just really understanding how your facility works. And having that data helps tell the story. Everything you do is going to be a risk, but as well if it's well mitigated. And now with hybrid, you're looking at, okay, we're at the tip of the spear where we're able to drive a lot of these thoughts, ideals, and policies. Everyone's going to have something to say.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Heroes of Hybrid Work. On today's pod, I'm very excited to welcome André Jones, Corporate Real Estate Portfolio and Facilities Leader at Capital One. From Clark Construction to Lumen Technologies and now Capital One, André has a proven track record of overseeing millions of square footage across hundreds of buildings to create great workplace experiences for thousands of employees. André was recently named to SCEDA's Top 20 Facilities Leaders Shaping Hybrid Work in 2024, and that's why he joins us as a hero of hybrid work today. André, thank you so much for joining us.
Jenny, thank you so much for having me. It's quite the honor to be here, and appreciate you just having an opportunity to chat.
Definitely. So you have an impressive career, which I quickly discussed, and deeply passionate about facilities management. Tell me a little bit about how your career path led you here.
It's pretty unique. Most of us traditionally have not organically just fell into the profession. I'm one of those as well, too. I had a military background, so naturally when I started working in the civilian realm, I was a defense analyst, and, it was not fulfilling. And just having connections and people knowing people, I had a chance to talk to our head of our operations for the organization that I was with at the time. He says, I have a team in facilities. We just need somebody to whip it into shape. And I said, you know what? I can go for that change. And the rest was history. Just got hooked, fell in love with the day-to-day challenges, the intersection of working with people, providing leadership, problem solving, using data and information to get a desired outcome for the built environment. So those were things that were very appealing and just kept me motivated and keep wanting to learn more, do things better, and excel. So that is how I fell into my profession. And as you grow, you get educated, you learn more, you network, you meet new folks, and it's just your career is able to blossom and grow.
Love
it's a
it.
very unique garden. Some day I feel like a petunia, some days I feel like a rose. But it's just been great, though.
Quote board. So I thought it was really interesting. Did you say defense analytics?
Yeah, I was a infantry officer in the Army for quite some time, and then I transitioned to the Army Reserves. So normally as a day job, you do a lot of defense analyzing some scenarios and coming up with some war gaming and planning. And I was with a defense firm, and I just said, hey, I can't do this for the next 30 years of my life. Need a little more excitement. So I think I found that niche in the facilities realm.
That's awesome. What do you think you brought from that role into the facilities realm?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of tactical applications, but as well as strategic. And, you learn a lot, when you're preparing and training and, you have your reinforced processes, but then again, you're able to look at it holistically and say, okay, what's the overall mission, what we're trying to accomplish? So having that framework allowed me to be able to implement stuff naturally and understand things more seriously. And then, being a soldier, you're always a learner. You're learning, pushing yourself to the brink, seeing where you can go, what's the extremes. You're also risk averse as to things you want to do and not do. So those are practical applications when you're with facilities as to, okay, I'm looking at this problem as the safety and welfare of every person that walks into my building. What are the decisions there? So there are those synergies that made it just a natural fit.
I love that. So speaking of a lifelong learner, the more I talk to facilities leaders, the more I hear that the role is really evolving. Ever since we've modernized the workplace, since hybrid work has come into the picture. So how have you seen the role evolve over over the last maybe 5 or 6 years?
Boy, I tell you what, there are always iterative cycles where there's a hot buzz thing that's the focus. And I think post COVID, hybrids kind of touched it all at once. Before, like you said, we were emphasizing and pushing sustainability. It used to be a buzzword. And then we had certifications and people wanted more knowledge and it touched the triple bottom line where you're talking about your finance, your people and the environment. Oh, that's a win. And then, like you said, you're looking at what's the future of work and the Internet of Things and how to tie in thing and agile transformation. You have all these wonderful, I call work transformations that went along, but facilities was kind of lagging or reactive. And now with COVID, post COVID, and now with hybrid, you're looking at, okay, we're at the tip of the spear where we're able to drive a lot of these thoughts, ideals, and policies as to what the needs are. Before it, hey, we have a great building. Cool. Now it's a selling point. It's part of that culture of what companies are trying to identify with, you know.
Yeah.
So I think, like you said, for us, we have to evolve as things and problems evolve. I call us the consummate problem solvers. So to me, it's just naturally right up our alley in our course of work where we want to go and contributing and making sure that work environment, whether it's home, in the office, in a coffee shop, or anywhere, that unique experience is palpable and attractive for all.
Yeah, definitely. So I loved what you said that, first it was you have a nice building, you have great building operations, but now you have to have a building that attracts people to come back to work, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, whatever your policy is at your organization. But the facilities leader really is at the tip of the spear there to create that environment where people want to come back.
Absolutely.
So I guess my follow up to that is what are the skills that are needed now for this evolution of the role?
I tell you what, I mean, I was going to my mind, I'm thinking, oh, maybe here's the top three, or it's back to the basic. We are a jack of all trades. And I'm looking even more now. I'm touching your world. I have to be a marketeer. I have to be able to sell. Here is why people want to come back to work. I need to be able to design that and be able to tell that story. And now it's taken them along that journey with you to want to engage, to be here. So having those soft skills is even more important now, as opposed to the traditional, knowing what budgeting is, knowing how operations should work, but telling the story.
Yeah.
We have to become better storytellers. We have to become better salesmen, as well as ambassadors of why hybrid is the way to go, or why this is best suited for your organization.
Yeah, I think that's really brilliant because a lot of times I hear, well, we have to go more towards HR or we have to go more towards IT and we're kind of stuck in the middle. And you're saying that there's also another element that we don't talk about enough, which is the sales and marketing element of telling that story to get people to come back. I think that's actually really interesting.
It's fascinating. I look at it as, oh, we could stay in our lane. We're doing that. We are now the cross section of everything from technology to HR, people relations, employee engagement, to strategy, when you're talking about asset management, to financials. Is this a costly investment? We're at the table. We're at that pinch point where we're being either consulted to do such, or we're taking the lead to lead where we want to go for the future. So I love it. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. It really pushes and stretches you to the gill. I said jack of all trades, master of none, but it's just fun being able to engage at various levels in different entities to be that bridge point.
Yeah, no, it does. It sounds like you're at the center of everything, which is a fun role for some people, maybe not for everybody.
It is a fun role, and it is a challenging role as well too, because
Yeah,
you work with your diplomacy, but you also work on, like you said, enhancing those soft skills, being an active listener, really understanding and being an empathetic leader to truly understand. I know one thing for me is even now, is just being comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that is reflective of what your teams want to have, and also what your peers and who you're collaborating with is necessary. So,
I get that.
self-reflection is a big thing.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good segue too into my next question, which, You talk a lot about bringing the human element back to work.
Yeah.
Well, my first question is when and why did we lose it? And, how can facilities leaders help?
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just we're so quick to get dug in on things. Everyone is so strong and passionate about one thing and another, and
Hmm.
it's just we got away from just listening. We got away from just being civil and just being normal. And I think those specific characteristics are necessary to make us, we're still neighbors, whether we live on the same block or we're working in the same floor or zone or area. We are still neighbors, and it can't be a territorial approach. It's one collaborative
Hmm.
environment.
Hmm.
We are all going into the floor or to the building that has that one name that represents all of us. So identifying that collectively, we are a community in itself for the organization. Um, we got to get back to being just decent human beings. I think having that empathy, having that understanding. Why is my cyber team telling me no to this program I want to implement? Well, let me ask the question, what are you looking for? So we got to get back to the basics. It's one, understanding the why. People are so quick to the no, but they might not understand why it's a no. And it may not be a no, but it might be a not right now or a delayed yes, I like to say. I'm trying to be optimistic.
So, do you think some of that, because I think what you're talking about here are just like real leadership principles, right? Digging into the why, listening, empathy. Do you think some of that was lost during COVID?
I think it was deprioritized,
Mhm.
not necessarily lost, but deprioritized. Crisis management, situation awareness, what's most prevalent. But I think those little things kind of fell off and they continue to slip down the list, which now we're trying to figure out, okay, what comes first or what's most important. So, I think more 360 reviews,
Yeah,
um, you
yeah.
know, taking in that feedback, really, really coming back to saying, I'm not out to get you. I want to win with you. And that's always the mindset I harp and preach with my team members. Um, and I think, like you said, that provides that psychological safety that it's okay. I can let my guard down. Okay, let's conquer together.
Yeah. And would you say that in the past, facilities leaders haven't been challenged to be this person that you're talking about right now? Do you think they were more engaged
You
with like
know,
building operations than the
yeah,
people?
I think they've been underlooked,
Okay.
and I think you have some very talented, fascinating individuals that know things in and out from technical, from that, but have they ever been given a chance to sit at the table or make that pitch? And each organization is unique. Um, I think, like you said, throughout my career, I've been fortunate enough to report up through different avenues, whether it's been operations or facilities reporting up to HR or they're reporting to finance. So having those different perspectives helped me know how to target the audience to make influence and change. And I think too often in our careers as facility leaders, we've just been akin to one style. Just having that diversity of seeing it from different lenses helps you. And
Totally.
you can bring more value that way and really have understanding there.
What do you think has helped you capitalize on this moment the most? With all your finance, HR experience, you've, reported into all these different departments, which I think is such a huge benefit. Like, what do you think is the most important thing facilities leaders can do today to get that seat at the table?
Talked about a little bit is what can I do to help bring along the journey? So having that probative value, knowing how to engage, we got to get out our own skin and be able to network. And, just it may feel uncomfortable. It's what's needed. I think too often we take a risk averse approach where it's, oh, that's what it is. But I think there's a quote I always look that says, let them tell you, no. Let the other ones tell you no. Too often we psych ourselves out and we say no automatically. And it's kind of like, it's okay. Take a step, take a risk, take a chance. Um, you never be surprised how something you may say may land with somebody else. And us being able to influence is going to be the most critical thing. If I'm able to collaborate and have an influence or take that person with me along that journey, they'll see the value in you. They'll see your talents. They'll see, wow, Jeannie's a very analytical person. I never thought she would be looking at the net present value of this investment. Oh, that speaks my language in the CFO's office. Or you're looking at the impact to the associates. This is a value where we're looking to uh, uh, quality of what our offerings for recruitment and retention. So those are things where we can be innovative, open up, use your voice, but don't be afraid of the no's. Kind of like I said earlier, it's not necessarily no, it may be a not right now.
I love that. What I'm hearing you say is facilities leaders, don't underestimate yourselves.
Absolutely.
You have the knowledge, you can influence, just use your voice. And because you're, like you said, it's not a no, it could be a not right now, but you keep pushing, right? And you'll probably get to where you need to go.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to say you're crazy or, you know what, you might be onto something. I might give it a try.
Yeah.
And, I always, you talked about it. It's just being ready. I think, like you said, post-COVID hybrid, that was the intersection. It's okay. We had things thinking, cooking, brewing. All right. How about this? Or here it is. And use examples. Use your network. I think, like you said, bouncing ideals off of other peers.
Yeah.
You saw World Workplace where it was just a collection of everybody, but those are like fantastic opportunities to just say, what's going on in your world? What is working? What's not? Here's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And it's just so fun when you're able to say, we're simpatico, we're on the same page as we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome when you're just not winning at your organization, but somebody else is applying and doing the same thing elsewhere.
Yeah, no, it's very fascinating. I mean, for marketers and salespeople, this is our job to
Yeah.
network, right?
Yeah.
But for facilities leaders, this is a new kind of skill that needs to be learned in order to get that seat at the table. So I think it's really important what you're talking about right now. So,
Absolutely.
so tell me, do you have any recommendations for tools, metrics people should be monitoring? Like how are, I don't want to go too fast here, but how does AI play into this new role for facilities?
Ooh, yeah, AI. That's the new toy. But no, it's not the new toy. It's the
It
future,
is.
and it's needed and it's necessary.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, it's shifting the balance of how we work and operate. I'm just thinking from a time efficiency standpoint. Um, well, efficiency as a whole. You know, using predictive maintenance and predictive analytics and designing specific targeted algorithms allows you to get desired outcome. We waste and spend too much money on reactive maintenance and reactive repairs. And, oh, we didn't see it coming and I'm paying 3 times the amount more than what I should to, as opposed to using those predictive analytics and those algorithms to check things on a regular basis. We're able to get ahead of it. Two, it allows us to message it appropriately. We could plan accordingly and we could possibly bundle it or program things more efficiently where it has minimal impact to our operation. So using those AI, using those algorithms, understanding it is huge. For me, I was big on taking a course or two just to understand what is AI, because I'm with you. I'm thinking Terminator 2 and Rise of the Machine. It's like, no, you can't. But it's actually pretty fascinating when you start peeling back and learning, understand the values that it brings.
Yeah, help me understand. What do you think is the most impactful predictive analytic out there for a facilities leader?
For me, like you said, for energy consumptions, one, I think just from maintenance alone, you'll see from the sensor data, things that you can get. One, traditionally you looked at it one way, but you have 6 different ways to look at it and really have more tools for for the analysis. Really allows us to be more impactful and more concise with the decisions. So when I'm engaging leaders and telling them, hey, you want to do a retrofit over here, but guess what? I have maintenance cost or I have a piece of equipment that's not due for replacement in X amount of time. That helps paint that narrative and story saying, okay, this is what's going to cost me now versus doing it later. Or if I'm able to enhance this and curtail that, overall, there's a total cost savings. And, for me, it helped tells a story. I could talk technical all day, but if I go to my CFO, yeah, I don't care. What do I need
Right.
to know?
Right.
Or if
How
I
much
go
does
to
it cost?
exactly, if I go to our chief HR officer, it's like, why do I need to know this? So that narrative, the why, pointing out those salient key things they need to know. Here's why it's impactful to you, or it really helps tell the story. And every other department's analytical. I think us having that AI powered that data there helps us level the playing game. It's like, this is a respectable profession where they are bringing something to the table.
Yeah. Do you feel like multiple sources of data is best? Because I think I'm getting the sense that, there needs to be some validation for many aspects of the job. How do you feel about that?
It's very important because so much is asked of us. We just talked about, I'll use elevator wait times. If you're in a high-rise building and it takes you 3 minutes to go from here and there, psychologically that does a lot for people. And that 3 minutes wasted, I'm anxious, I'm trying to get to where I need to go. They're not in the right mindset to go to their next meeting, and it's a snowball effect. So when you're looking at something like that, or hey, do I have the right algorithm? Do I have so many programs that are proprietary, but saying, okay, what is acceptable? If I have a building that has X amount of people, what's acceptable going down 20 floors? It helps us frame and tell that story.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? Just really understanding how your facility works and having that data helps tell the story. You look at it from a space utilization standpoint. What is the right size? Are we sharing desks? Are we need one for one? Are we bringing people X amount of days? Are certain days better than that? But having those sensors, having that information help tell a narrative will help you with your leaders engaging. Okay, here's the next step of hybrid, or here's where we need to tweak or go from there. So multiple data sources are fantastic. It's up to you as the facility leader to know what's important to the audience or
Yeah.
those decision makers.
That's right. And there's different data sets that are important to different audiences, which I
Absolutely.
think makes this role so hard actually because it's high touch. You're thinking about that person waiting at the elevator and their
Yeah.
experience, and then you're thinking about the elevator itself.
Yeah, it
And
is.
and so it's like high touch and high tech at the same time, and it's definitely like I said, an evolving and a difficult role to be in.
It's our yin to the yang.
Yeah.
It's exactly where it is, but it's a fine balance.
So we are getting to time here, so I want to make sure we get to a few more of these. But what have you learned from managing facilities in a hybrid work setup, you personally? Any tips or best practices you want to share for those making that transition?
Yeah, I can write a book on everything I learned, but
You
it
should.
comes back to your. No, I doubt anybody read it, but hey, it's all good. Well, we'll put it on audio. How
I'll
about
read
that?
it.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot I learned. We talked about self-reflection specifically, but it goes back down to finding ways to embrace that positivity. Everyone's going to have something to say. Everyone has their fears. Everyone has their concerns. Everyone's pressed for other things, but it's kind of like trying to find ways to stay positive because what you're doing is transforming people's lives. People are able to work. People are able to have an opportunity to choose how they want to work in instances, which is, I think, is fantastic. We are not back to the days in the Industrial Revolution where you're a factory worker, everyone walks, but you have that variety, you have that variance to be able to choose how and when and where. Having different type of workspaces, whether it's collaborative team rooms or if it's just quiet floor spaces where it's head down or room for ones, different type of opportunities for people to choose how they want to work. I don't work the same over the course of the time that I'm in the office. I'm in a meeting here. I might need heads on time. I need to just be human. Hey guys, let's go get some coffee or let's powwow and collaborate together. So
Definitely.
being that ambassador for such is very, very important. For me, I try to make it as simple as stuff, something I learned from hybrid. And it's not being afraid to make impactful decisions, not being afraid to make a meaningful change. Those are two key things that jump out. And then everything you do is going to be a risk, but as well if it's well mitigated. So when those are hitting those 3 check marks for me, that lets me know I'm doing something. You don't always have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
You can enhance it.
Yeah.
So I look at those opportunities to really, really go that way. And those are my lessons I learned from hybrid.
And those are tough lessons because this role tends to be risk averse. So
Very much so.
making those changes is a hard call to action, right? To do something like that. I'm speaking from the marketer's perspective where we're kind of nuts and take a bunch of risks, but this behavioral profile of a facilities leader is different. So what you're asking of facilities leader is difficult.
It's a challenge, but
Yeah.
like you said, it could be very, very rewarding.
Right.
I love that you have the title Heroes of Hybrid, and it's kind of like we're getting people back to work. We're getting people excited about work to a degree. We're help shaping the culture of what things should happen. And, COVID happened. We're not putting the tube back, the toothpaste back in the tube. It's out there. So people like having those options, that variety. And I take pride in that being part of the hybrid approach to make it happen. So
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So, Andre, last question. You came to this podcast wanting to say something, wanting to share something. Did I ask the right questions to get that out of you? Is there anything that I missed?
you've been spot on, Jenny. I just love the fact that you're doing this and opening people's world up to things. I think a lot of people emphasize their tidbits of wisdom, but just having this platform is pretty positive, pretty awesome. For me, I love the fact, one thing I would say is just we have a unique opportunity to continue to make the office an enabler of the soul of a company.
Yeah.
So do what you can do to keep promoting that. I think bringing facilities, HR, all these key decision makers together in one platform and pride for that perspective is fantastic. I encourage folks to continue to collaborate, push your limits, get comfortable with being uncomfortable, because you will be blown away with the rewards that come with that. So
Awesome. Thank you. That's a powerful message. So if people want to maybe reach out to you or ask you questions after they listen to this, how can people find you, Andre?
you can find me on LinkedIn, open to network with anybody. Like you said,
All right.
love to chat. If you're ever in the DC area, by all means, hit me up. We could definitely paint the town red,
Yeah.
have some fun, but by all means, love to connect with anybody.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Such a huge pleasure meeting you and having you on the show and sharing your insights. Thank you again for the time, and we will connect later.
Sounds great. Thanks again, Jenny.
All right. Thanks, Andre.